His hand, rough and calloused from a life I could only imagine, traced the line of my jaw. The scent of antiseptic and something uniquely him filled the small, sterile room. He leaned in, his voice a low murmur that vibrated through my very bones. "Honey," he whispered, his eyes, once so cold and calculating, now filled with a warmth that felt both foreign and terrifyingly familiar. "I love you so much." And in that moment, as his lips were about to meet mine, every rational thought I possessed screamed at me to run, to push him away. Because this man, my boss, the ruthless CEO Lucas Oliver, had lost his mind, and he believed, with every fiber of his being, that I was his husband. But the most terrifying part, a small, treacherous piece of my heart desperately wanted it to be true. To understand how I found myself in this impossible situation, you have to understand my life before the chaos. My official title was assistant to the CEO, but in reality, I was the perpetually stressed-out dogspody. My days were a frantic whirlwind of impossible deadlines and thinly veiled threats of termination. "Matthew, I need a complete dossier on this woman in 3 minutes, or you're fired." That was my normal. I was the unlucky guy, the one who scurried in the shadows of a corporate titan, gathering information that probably skirted the edges of legality. Then, one fateful afternoon, the titan fell. Lucas Oliver, in the middle of a tirade, suddenly collapsed. The good news: my days of playing reluctant private investigator were over. The bad news: when Lucas awoke in the hospital, the man who emerged was a stranger. His already challenging temperament had soured into something utterly volatile. He was a cornered animal, lashing out with venomous words at anyone who dared enter his room. A parade of executives and family members had tried to visit, only to be verbally eviscerated and sent fleeing. And there I stood, hesitating at the threshold of his private ward, clutching a stack of documents so thick it could have served as a doorstop. For days, the company had been running on fumes, and this mountain of paperwork represented critical decisions that only he could make. As I left the office, my colleagues had looked at me with the desperate hope of soldiers sending a lone messenger through enemy lines. "Assistant Matthew," they'd pleaded, their eyes welling with theatrical tears, "our paychecks are in your hands." The weight of their expectations, the sheer gravity of the situation, pushed me forward. There was no room for cowardice. Steeling my nerves, I gritted my teeth and plunged headfirst into the lion's den. The sound of the door swinging open silenced the argument raging within. Several pairs of eyes snapped towards me. "Mr. Oliver Euros," I began, my voice barely a whisper. But before I could utter another syllable, Lucas raised a hand, a slow, confident smile spreading across his face. It was a smile I had never seen before, and it was directed squarely at me. "Hi, honey," he said, his voice smooth as silk. "You finally came to see me. My name is Matthew." And on that day, a man called me honey. Not just any man, but my boss Euros, an iceberg of a man whose default expression was a scowl and whose favorite pastime was threatening to dock my pay. The same man who, just a week prior, had been plotting to illegally confine an innocent young woman he was obsessed with. The files in my arms, suddenly weightless, cascaded to the pristine white floor with a soft rustle. My brain, usually so quick and efficient, was now a maelstrom of confusion and panic. What in God's name had happened to him? Was this some elaborate, cruel joke? Was he seeking revenge because I had been the one to call the authorities when his obsession had crossed the line into criminal intent? Was this his grand plan Euros to shatter my reputation? to paint me as some sort of office romance copyright, to ensure I could never walk through those corporate halls with my head held high again. The thought sent a violent tremor through my body. As I stood there, frozen in horror, Lucas swung his legs over the side of the bed. He walked towards me, took off the thin, standard issue hospital gown, and gently draped it over my trembling shoulders. "Honey, are you cold?" His bare feet, a solid size 46, left dusty footprints all over the snow-white documents scattered at our feet. From across the room, a furious roar erupted. "Lucas, are you blind, or have you lost your damn mind? He's a man!" It was Lucas's father, his face purple with rage. Lucas turned slowly, a look of utter disdain on his features as he rolled his eyes. "So what if he's a man? You're a man. Do you have a problem with men?" The older Mr. Oliver sputtered, clutching his chest as if on the verge of a coronary. "War euros you what?" Lucas cut him off, his voice dripping with ice. "Why don't you take your mistress and her daughter and get the hell out of here? Don't pollute the air my wife has to breathe." Enraged, Lucas's father lunged forward, his hand raised to strike. The mistress and her daughter, standing behind him, watched with venomous glee, their eyes silently urging him on. In a flash of instinct, my hand shot out and slammed the call bell on the wall. A doctor arrived moments later, his presence immediately de-escalating the situation. "His condition has just stabilized," the doctor chided the older man. "You must not agitate him." Cursing his ungrateful whelp, Lucas's father stormed out, still clutching his chest, his two companions trailing in his wake like vultures. Finally, the trash took itself out, Lucas sighed, before waving a dismissive hand at the doctor and nurses. "You can all leave, too. Don't interrupt my private time with my wife." Wife. The word hung in the air, heavy and absurd. The doctor, a man who clearly possessed a superhuman level of adaptability, simply pushed his glasses up his nose and handed me a clipboard. "Hello, Mrs. Oliver," he said, without a hint of irony. "Mr. Oliver has sustained a concussion. This has resulted in some partial memory loss, compounded by what appears to be a delusional disorder. Amnesia, delusion, concussion." The words swirled in my head, and a sudden, sharp memory surfaced, the sickening thud of Lucas's head connecting with the sharp corner of his desk as he collapsed. "Honey," Lucas's voice broke through my daze. He was clinging to my arm, his expression a mixture of affection and pleading. "Are you here to take me home?" I tried to push him away, to create some semblance of space, of reality, but his grip was like iron. Eventually, I just gave up, slumping in defeat. The doctor cleared his throat, launching into a more detailed explanation. "Mr. Oliver's memories are likely jumbled. He might confuse people, places, and events. This is all to be expected. As his family, the best thing you can do is provide a stable environment, communicate with him frequently, and patiently help him reconnect with his reality." A muscle in my cheek twitched. "Doctor," I said, my voice strained, "I'm not his family. I'm just his assistant." The doctor nodded, a knowing look in his eyes. "I understand. I've read many novels with a similar premise." My mind reeled. What precisely did he think he'd understood? Somehow, I ended up taking Lucas back to his penthouse. Things went from surreal to utterly unbearable when he tried, for the third time, to peel my shirt off. "Stop," I finally snapped, shoving him away. "I am your assistant. My services do not extend to this." Lucas's face crumpled, his expression transforming into one of a wounded puppy. Honey, are you angry with me? He whimpered. Mr. and I were never real. It was just a contract. I hired her to act as my girlfriend to make you jealous. I was rendered speechless. Emmer, the woman Lucas had pursued with a single-minded, terrifying intensity, the one he was willing to break the law for. Now, in his scrambled brain, she was nothing more than a prop in a convoluted scheme to win my affection. What happened to the epic, all-consuming love he had professed? While my mind was still trying to process this new, insane narrative, Lucas pushed me down onto the sprawling leather sofa. He reached for a remote on the coffee table, and with a single click, the entire penthouse was bathed in an amorous, deep red glow. This is your home, not some city love motel. Why on earth would you install lights like this? I demanded. He tilted his head, a look of genuine confusion on his face. This is our bridal suite, honey. Are you feeling all right? The floor-to-ceiling windows reflected our ridiculous tableau against the glittering city skyline. One man bewildered and pinned to a couch, the other looming over him, both bathed in the lurid red light of a brothel. The tragic irony was, there was a time I wouldn't have minded this. I used to have a bit of a crush on Lucas. It sounds ridiculous, I know. I came from nothing, a forgotten town in a poverty-stricken county. University was my only escape, and I funded it by working a string of grueling part-time jobs. I'm fair-skinned, with features some might call delicate, which unfortunately seemed to attract a certain type of unwanted attention. One night, while working at a high-end bar, a drunkard slapped my rear. "How much are you making here, pretty boy?" he slurred. "Come with me. I'll give you $5,000 a month." A cold fury washed over me. Without a second thought, I snatched an empty wine bottle from a nearby table and brought it down hard on his head. The man staggered back, stunned, before letting out a furious, pig-like squeal. "I'll kill you." The resultant chaos was immense. By the time my boss emerged, the area was a wreck of shattered glass and overturned chairs. The drunk, now mostly sobered by the shock and pain, was screaming about pressing charges. I spat a mouthful of coppery blood onto the floor near his feet. My boss took one look at the scene and his face hardened. "You caused this mess. Consider this month's salary forfeit." "He harassed me first," I protested. The drunk sneered. "I harassed you? You're a die. What, you think you're some kind of supermodel?" I was drunk. I stumbled. "I accidentally brushed against you. And you assaulted me. You're paying my medical bills, or I swear I'll sue you into the ground." Back then, I was so naive. I was a blank slate when it came to defending myself, unaware of my rights, ignorant of how to handle such a situation. A wave of profound helplessness crashed over me, so potent it made my entire body shake with impotent rage. Suddenly, a figure pushed through the gawking crowd and stood beside me. He was impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, radiating an aura of power and sophistication that was utterly alien to my world. He was a creature of the elite, a class I could never hope to touch. "I have a video recording of the entire incident," the man said, his voice calm and authoritative. "And I have already contacted the police. One of you is guilty of harassing a student. The other is guilty of illegally withholding wages. The evidence is irrefutable. I suggest you don't even attempt to deny it." Hours later, after emerging from the police station into the pre-dawn chill, the man handed me a crisp business card. "Lucas," it read. "If you decide to file a lawsuit," he said with a small smile, "feel free to contact me. My company's legal department is one of the best in the country." I took the card, my fingers numb. Why? Why are you helping me? I managed to ask. He didn't answer directly. Instead, his gaze swept over me, a careful, assessing look. You're a student at the university nearby? I nodded. What's your major? Finance. I'm a sophomore. I couldn't fathom the point of his questions. Then, Lucas said something that would etch itself into my memory forever. Quit this dead-end job. I will sponsor the remainder of your university education. When you graduate, you can come work for me. The full moon hung directly above us, casting a halo of ethereal light around him. In that moment, he wasn't just a man, he was a merciful deity, extending a hand to pull me onto an ark in the middle of a raging storm. He was my salvation. Why? I asked again, my voice barely audible. He countered with his own question. What do you think? I didn't know. A stranger helping another could be driven by pity, or perhaps by some ulterior motive. But what could a man like him possibly want from someone like me? My mind was a complete blank. Lucas smiled, a genuine, gentle smile. Don't overthink it. Let's just say I don't want to see you make the same mistakes I did. Perhaps, in my desperate, defiant eyes, he saw a reflection of his own past struggles. But for me, in that moment, I felt a flutter in my chest, a spark of something entirely new and overwhelming. True to his word, after graduation, I joined his company. I started at the very bottom, working my fingers to the bone, determined to prove my worth. I climbed the ladder, my achievements stacking up. Then, Lucas announced he was looking for a new personal assistant. A stream of candidates came and went, but none seemed to meet his impossibly high standards. A sense of panic, of crisis, began to build within me. On a whim, fueled by a strange mix of ambition and something more personal, I volunteered for the position. To my surprise, Lucas agreed without a moment's hesitation. I'd rather have you by my side than any of them, he'd said. In my memory, I conveniently ed out the beginning and end of that sentence. All that echoed in my mind was the core phrase, I'd rather have you. It felt like a confession, didn't it? The memory fractured, pulling me back to the present, to the red-lit penthouse and the man looming over me. Just as Lucas was about to press his advantage to take things further, I caught his wrist. My breath was ragged, my voice catching in my throat, making it nearly impossible to form a coherent sentence. Don't do this. You'll regret it. But he just leaned in closer, his lips brushing against my ear as he murmured those devastating words, "Honey, I love you so much." The next morning, I woke to the sensation of being watched. I slowly opened my eyes and found myself staring directly into Lucas's, wide and alert. "Morning, honey," he chirped, puckering his lips for a kiss. For a split second, I was paralyzed by the domesticity of it all. Then, instinct kicked in and I shoved him away. "Honey," he cried, his face instantly crumpling. He managed to squeeze out a single, perfect tear that rolled down his cheek. "Are you going to abandon me after having your way with me?" he wailed. "Get off me," I grunted. Lucas was a solid 188 centimeters of muscle, and his weight was crushing the air from my lungs. With a final, desperate heave, I managed to push him off. Arriving at the office was like walking into a hornet's nest. My colleagues swarmed me, their faces etched with concern, bombarding me with questions about Lucas's condition. I carefully omitted the part about his memory being replaced by a romantic comedy plot and simply stated that he needed more time to rest. William, one of the senior managers and a friend, pulled me aside. "Assistant Matthew," he whispered urgently, "you need to tell Mr. Oliver to watch his back. His family is up to no good. What's going on? I asked. I saw them, he continued, his voice low, meeting in secret with some of the board members who have always been at odds with Mr. Oliver. I have a very bad feeling about this. I nodded, tucking the information away. To the outside world, Lucas was a prodigy, a brilliant mind who had built a corporate empire from the ground up at the age of 20. He was a living legend, the kind of success story they teach in business schools. But behind that success was a deeply tragic family life. His father was a notorious philanderer. His mother had died young, and the day after her funeral, his father's mistress and her daughter had moved into the family home. Once Lucas's company became a goldmine, these three parasites became insatiable, treating him like a personal ATM, their spending habits growing ever more extravagant. They had even started demanding shares in the company, shamelessly pestering him for a piece of the empire he had built with his own blood, sweat, and tears. Later that day, during a major presentation, I made a critical error. Without thinking, I logged into my personal WeChat account on the main conference room whiteboard. Instantly, the screen was flooded. A contact named Darling had sent no less than 99 messages, interspersed with frantic voice and video call attempts. I had completely forgotten. That morning, Lucas had forcefully changed my contact name in his phone to my dearest baby. And from the moment I had stepped out of the penthouse, he had begun a relentless second-by-second countdown, bombarding me with messages. I had chosen to ignore the digital onslaught, but now it was on full display for the entire senior management team to see. Though I logged out in a fraction of a second, the damage was done. Everyone in that room knew Lucas's profile picture. A deathly silence fell over the conference room. William, bless his heart, tried to salvage the situation with a few forced, awkward laughs. Yes, my friend, he has a similar playful relationship with his boss. It's quite common these days. Very normal. Thank you, William, but there was no need. The array of complex expressions aimed at me pity, amusement, suspicion was overwhelming. I forced myself to remain composed, but my toes were curling so hard inside my leather shoes I was fairly certain I was about to drill through the soles and into the floor below. Maybe I could just dig myself a new 3-bedroom apartment and save on a mortgage. I pretended as if nothing had happened and continued with my presentation, my voice steady even as my mind had gone completely offline. The moment the meeting concluded, the office erupted in a flurry of whispers. I always thought there was something between Mr. Oliver and Assistant Matthew. I am so shipping them right now. Who knew Mr. Oliver? That walking iceberg was such a closet romantic. So, who do you think tops? The last comment sent a jolt through me, and unwelcome, vivid memories of the previous night flooded my consciousness. I fled to the sanctuary of my office as if my life depended on it. On my phone, Lucas was still spamming me. I couldn't take it anymore. I dialed his number. Honey. His sticky sweet voice answered immediately. You ignored me for so long. I was about to call human resources and report you missing. He sounded genuinely aggrieved, as if I had committed a grave injustice. I am at work, I said, my voice tight with restraint. Is work more important than me? He whined, his logic completely skewed. Just then, a knock on my door. Assistant Matthew, there's a woman named Emma here to see you. A chill went down my spine. Even during the height of his obsession, Lucas had kept Emma a closely guarded secret at the company. No one here knew who she was. I quickly ended the call and told my colleague to show her to the reception room. Assistant Matthew. Emma looked exhausted, her lips pale and her face haggard. She had the fragile beauty of a tragic heroine. I adjusted my glasses. Miss Emma, what can I do for you? To my knowledge, Mr. Oliver hasn't been bothering you lately. She shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. Euros, I've realized something. I think I'm in love with him. Assistant Matthew, I need to see him. I felt a wave of cognitive dissonance. Was I hallucinating? This was the woman who had avoided Lucas like he was the plague, who had rejected him time and time again. Now she was talking about love. What was all that dramatic chasing and fleeing about before? Was this some kind of performance art piece designed to drive me insane? Euros. Before I could finish, the reception room door burst open. Lucas strode in, positioning himself behind me and wrapping his arms around my waist in a gesture of blatant possession. He glared at Emma. Who are you? He demanded. Why are you alone in a room with my husband with the door closed? What are you trying to pull? I was mortified. I was completely speechless. From the corner of my eye, I saw several heads duck back behind the doorframe. In a desperate attempt to preserve what little was left of Lucas's professional image, I barked, "Get back to work. Anyone caught eavesdropping gets their pay docked for the month." I heard a collective groan from the hallway. Assistant Matthew is starting to sound more and more like Mr. Oliver every day. Lucas turned to me, his eyes wide and questioning. Honey, why are you meeting with this strange woman? Who is she? I maintained my poker face, the words, "This is the great love of your life," burning on my tongue. But Emma spoke first, her voice filled with tearful disbelief. Euros, you don't remember me. You told me you loved me. What is going on between you two? Lucas scoffed. Who are you? How could I possibly love you? The only person I love is my dear wife. Emma's finger shot out, pointing directly at me. I don't believe you. Look at his face. Does he look like he loves you? Lucas's gaze fell on me, his expression softening into one of pure affection. Honey, do you love me? He asked softly. My mouth twitched. I was trapped, with no good answer. Emma sneered. See, he doesn't love you at all. Lucas's face fell, as if the world had just ended. Sorry Euros, I've been making a fool of myself this whole time, he whispered, his voice cracking. No, Euros, I opened my mouth, finally deciding to just tell Emma the truth. Emma, the thing is, Mr. Oliver's memory is a little Euros. I don't want to hear your excuses, she interrupted, her voice rising. Just tell me if you love him or not. If you do, then kiss him right now. Lucas whimpered in my ear. Have I been betrayed? The two of them were bickering back and forth, their voices a cacophony of nonsense that was making my head spin. Shut up, I roared, stunning them both into silence. And then, I did something reckless. I grabbed Lucas by the collar of his shirt, pulled him down, and kissed him. It was a selfish act. I knew it. I knew that when Lucas's memory returned, this fragile, beautiful illusion would shatter, and I would likely be cast out of his life forever. But just for this moment, I wanted to be greedy. I wanted him to belong to me. I am a despicable person. I admit it. I was jealous that Emma could so effortlessly capture his devotion, and I was frustrated beyond measure that he could never see me, the real me, standing right beside him all along. Last night, I should have stopped him, but I didn't. I wanted him. I wanted him with a desperation that bordered on madness. Lucas responded instantly, his hand moving to the back of my head, deepening the kiss. Over his shoulder, I saw Emmer. She was covering her face with her hands, but peeking through her fingers. When we finally broke apart, she let out a theatrical sob and ran from the room, fumbling with her phone as she went. A moment later, Lucars's phone buzzed twice, but he ignored it. Instead, he wrapped his arms happily around my waist. "Honey, I knew you loved me," he beamed, his smile as bright and innocent as a child who'd just been given a piece of candy. I had only ever known the mature, stoic Lucars. This childlike joy was something new, something that only existed in this strange, amnesiac world, and it was reserved only for me. But what would happen when the real Lucars returned? How would that man look at me then? He cupped my face, his thumb gently stroking my cheek, and leaned in for another kiss. I was lost in his affectionate gaze, my eyes slowly fluttering shut. Suddenly, his phone rang, the shrill tone shattering the moment. It was his father. "You good for nothing. What the hell have you been doing?" The old man bellowed through the speaker. "Mind your own business," Lucars retorted, his tone dismissive. His father coughed and sputtered with rage. "You uneducated brat. Is that any way to speak to your father?" "I was raised by my mother," Lucars said, his voice cold as steel. "Not you." A stunned silence followed, broken only by his father's ragged breathing. "You are Euros, you ungrateful son. Just you wait," he finally choked out before slamming the phone down. Lucars cursed at the phone, then turned back to me with a smile. "Now, where were we, honey?" I placed a finger on his forehead, pushing him back gently. "What was that about? What did you do?" He smiled, a hint of mischief in his eyes. "Oh, nothing much. I just sent the evidence of Saphir, that two-faced snake, seducing her best friend's boyfriend to said best friend. The two of them are currently getting a well-deserved beating in the middle of the street. Also, I cut off their allowance. From this day forward, those three leeches won't get another cent from me." I stared at him, my jaw slack with astonishment. The old Lucars was a block of wood, one who desperately craved the warmth of a family he never had, willing to let those parasites bleed him dry without a word of protest. This new, decisive, and ruthless Lucars was a complete stranger. "Aren't you afraid of what they'll do? They might get desperate." Lucars sneered. "They already have." I looked at him, confused, but he simply ended the conversation with another kiss, melting away all my questions and doubts. Early the next morning, I was jolted awake by my phone ringing. It was William. "Assistant Matthew, something terrible has happened," he said, his voice frantic. "Mr. Oliver's family, they've teamed up with a board of directors. They're trying to remove him from his position as CEO." I was instantly wide awake. "What? On what grounds?" "They've produced some kind of psychiatric evaluation report," he explained, claiming Mr. Oliver is mentally unfit to run the company. I gripped the phone, my knuckles turning white, and scrambled out of bed. Lucars, having overheard, insisted on coming with me. When we arrived at the company, the main conference room was already full. Lucars's father sat at the head of the table, a smug, triumphant look on his face. He slapped a document down. "This is proof that Lucars is mentally incompetent. He is no longer fit to manage this company. I propose we vote to elect a new manager and reclaim the shares he currently holds." A murmur went through the room as the directors began passing the document around, their expressions a mixture of feigned shock and greedy anticipation. The ones William had warned me about stood up one by one, voicing their support for the proposal. I scanned their faces, each one more repulsive than the last. They were vultures, circling what they believed to be a dying lion. A cold rage burned in my chest. I strode forward and slapped the document back onto the table. Which baccalaureate institution issued this so-called psychiatric report? There isn't even an official seal. Who do you think you're fooling with this piece of garbage? Lucars's father's face darkened. Matthew, who do you think you are? You have no right to speak in this room. Before I could respond, Lucars stepped in front of me, a look of childlike confusion on his face. He turned to me and asked, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Honey, what are they talking about? Aren't you the largest shareholder of this company?" With that, Lucars pulled a folded document from his jacket pocket. Euros, I had no idea when he'd put it there. He held it up for all to see. The words "Share Transfer Consent Form" were printed clearly at the top. The bright red official seal and two distinct signatures at the bottom testified to its authenticity. The room fell into a silence so profound you could hear a pin drop. I stared, my eyes wide with disbelief, my mind completely blank. Lucars's eyes crinkled into crescents as he smiled at me. "This is the bride price I promised you, honey." I was utterly stunned. I had no memory of signing such a thing. Had I lost my memory too? My hands trembled as I took the document. Lucars's father shot to his feet, his face ashen. "Impossible! This has to be a forgery!" Other directors echoed his doubt. "Mr. Oliver, when did this transfer take place? Why were we not informed?" Lucars just shrugged. "Why would I need to inform you about private matters between my wife and me? Lucars, are you insane? Giving control of the company to an outsider?" Lucars sneered, his gaze turning razor-sharp. "He is my partner. What are you? A parasite that I've been supporting? What right do you have to question our decisions in this boardroom?" His father was speechless with fury. The directors who had sided with him exchanged panicked glances. They had gambled on Lucars being incapacitated, and they had bet wrong. I looked down at the document in my hands, my heart hammering against my ribs. The signatures were undeniably ours. But the transfer data Euros, it was from a week before his accident. A week before he lost his memory. The board meeting dissolved in disarray. Back in my office, I closed the door and confronted him. "Lucars, what is this?" He looked at me, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. "It's the document you signed the night I proposed to you. Don't you remember, honey? I suppose you had a bit to drink that day, so it might be fuzzy." Suddenly, it all came rushing back. A week before the accident, there had been a corporate dinner. I couldn't hold my liquor, and Lucars had driven me home. That night I'd had a strange, vivid dream. I dreamt that Lucars was kissing me, murmuring sweet nothings, coaxing me to sign some papers. I had always dismissed it as a drunken fantasy. It had been real. "Lucars," I said, staring at him, trying to read his expression. "You're not Euros, you're not faking this amnesia, are you?" He blinked, his eyes wide and innocent. "Amnesia? What are you talking about, honey? I don't understand." His performance was flawless. There wasn't a single crack in the facade. I stared into his eyes, searching for any hint of deception, but found only pure, unadulterated confusion. "Honey, if you keep looking at me like that, I'm not going to be able to resist kissing you." How could a person's entire personality change so drastically? I remembered the doctor's words to Euros. His condition was unique. The gaps in his memory were being filled by his own delusions. In his mind, nothing was wrong. This was his reality, and perhaps His current behavior was a manifestation of repressed desires, things the old Lucas wanted to do but never dared. I was torn. Was he treating me this way because he genuinely mistook me for someone else, or was it because euros? I shook my head, dismissing the second, more dangerous thought. What exactly have you been delusional about? I pressed. He just gave me that same innocent, confused look. Delusions. I sighed, a wave of discouragement washing over me. What was the point of arguing with an injured man? As if sensing my frustration, Lucas pressed something into my hand. I looked down. 2 tickets to Schwanching Amusement Park. It was the most popular attraction in the city. Tickets were notoriously difficult to get. What's this for? I asked, taken aback. He smiled. We have a date tomorrow, remember? As his assistant, I knew his schedule inside and out. There was indeed a date scheduled for tomorrow, but it wasn't with me. It was with Emmer. I remembered him presenting her with the tickets, and her tearing them to shreds in front of him without a second thought. Were these new tickets he'd bought, refusing to give up? Lucas euros, I began, but he frowned. You shouldn't call me by my full name. I fell silent. I didn't know how long this charade, this game of me playing someone else's stand-in, could last. But in that moment, I decided to be despicable one more time. The next day, I stood at the entrance to the amusement park, dark circles under my eyes from a sleepless night. Lucas, dressed in casual clothes, looked 10 years younger, like a university student on a day out. He grabbed my hand excitedly, dragging me towards an ice cream vendor. We spent the day on a whirlwind of rides, and as dusk fell, we found ourselves on the Ferris wheel. The city lights spread out below us like a blanket of scattered jewels. As our cabin neared the very top, he leaned in, his warm breath ghosting across my cheek. Honey, can I kiss you? Before I could even form a response, his lips were on mine. It was a gentle, almost hesitant kiss, over in a flash. My heart did a nervous little flip-flop, and I instinctively turned my face away. Stop it. But he was persistent. He cupped my face, forcing me to look at him, his eyes stubborn. Just one more, please. Again, before I could answer, he kissed me. When he pulled back, he was grinning like a boy who'd just stolen a cookie. They say couples who kiss at the top of this Ferris wheel will be together forever. A lump formed in my throat. It took me a moment to find my voice. There's a curse on this Ferris wheel. Every couple who rides it ends up breaking up. He scowled, suddenly fierce. Then I'll tear this one down and build a new one, he declared, like an angry guard dog with its hackles raised. The absurdity of it made me laugh. I asked him, why were you so desperate to come to an amusement park? Lucas gazed out at the night sky. I transferred schools in the 4th grade, he said softly. I was the new kid, always alone. There was a popular amusement park back then, and all the other kids talked about going with their families. Just to be part of the conversation, I begged my parents to take me. All I got was a brutal scolding from my father. He emphasized the word family. The colorful lights of the park danced across his profile, illuminating a fleeting expression of deep loneliness. He turned to me, a faint smile on his lips. Did your parents ever take you? I nodded. My family was poor, but they were rich in love. They always gave me the best they could afford. A look of envy crossed Lucas's face. You're so lucky. I couldn't help but snort. You're the lucky one now. You met my parents once, and now you're closer to them than I am. He had shown up on my family's doorstep last New Year's Eve, claiming he was just passing by. Within 10 minutes, my parents were completely charmed. I, their actual son, was relegated to second place. Lucas had then declared, with a perfectly straight face, "Of course. A son-in-law is half a son, after all." I had nearly choked on my own spit. On the drive home from the park, a black car aggressively cut us off, forcing our vehicle to a screeching halt. We narrowly avoided a serious accident. As I was about to get out and confront the driver, our car was swarmed by several large, burly men in black suits. This was no random incident. Lucas frowned, his body tensing. "Your business is with me," he said, his voice low and steady. "He has nothing to do with this." Without any resistance, he allowed them to pull him from the car. I grabbed his arm. "What are you doing?" He shook his head, a calm expression on his face. "Honey, don't worry. It's all right." What was he talking about? This was insane. How could I just let them take him? I held up my phone. "Let him go, or I'm calling the police." The next thing I knew, a sharp, searing pain exploded at the back of my head. The world tilted, and just before darkness consumed me, the last thing I saw was Lucas smiling at me, a helpless, apologetic look in his eyes. When I came to, I was tied to a chair, a thick piece of tape covering my mouth. The room was a dimly lit, damp warehouse. Across from me, Lucas was tied to another chair, his face bruised and swollen. He'd clearly been beaten. Standing over us, sneering, were his father, the mistress, and her daughter, Sophia. Lucas's eyes were like chips of ice. "Father," he said, his voice dangerously quiet, "do you have any idea what you're doing? This is kidnapping." The old man laughed. "I'm just inviting my son for a little chat." He walked over to me, a knife appearing in his hand. He let the cold, flat edge of the blade graze my cheek. "Sign this equity transfer agreement," he ordered Lucas. His stepmother held up a syringe filled with a clear liquid. "This is a new neurotoxin. Without the antidote, the victim will suffer irreversible brain death within 48 hours. His father smiled proudly. "So, choose, son. Your company or him." Lucas's face went deathly pale. "It's too late. I've already transferred all my shares to him. You can't touch him. Don't try to fool me." "It's the truth," Lucas insisted. "Ever since Sophia drugged me last time, I've been on my guard." Drugged? I remembered his sudden collapse. Sophia, the scheming stepsister, let out a gasp. "Your memoria euros, it's back." Lucas's gaze fixed on her. "Sophia, if Matthew hadn't rushed in that day, you were planning to kill me, weren't you?" She just shrugged with a malicious smirk. "So what if I was? You have no proof. So his fall wasn't an accident." My eyes widened in horror, but the tape over my mouth only allowed me to make muffled, frantic sounds. Suddenly, Lucas laughed, a cold, chilling sound. "Oh, but don't we have proof now?" His father looked startled. "What are you talking about?" Lucas tilted his head, his eyes glinting with a terrifying sharpness. "Did you really think I would come with your men without making any preparations?" As soon as the words left his mouth, the sound of heavy, running footsteps echoed from outside. The warehouse door was kicked open, and a team of heavily armed SWAT officers stormed the room. "Police! Freeze!" The entire basement fell into an eerie silence. "False imprisonment, intentional injury, attempted murder," Lucas said, a smile playing on his lips that didn't reach his eyes. "Those charges should be enough to keep you three in prison for the rest of your miserable lives." Their faces contorted with rage. "Lucas, you bastard! You set us up." "No," Lucas replied, his voice devoid of all emotion. "You started this." After the ropes were cut, Lucas rushed to my side, his hands hovering over me, checking for injuries. I pushed him away, my face an expressionless mask. It was time to settle the score. "You have one chance to explain yourself." Lucas looked down at his feet, his confidence suddenly gone. I let out a cold, humorless laugh. "Was it fun? Was playing the amnesiac an amusing game for you?" He looked up, his expression panicked. "At first, it was real, I swear." "So when," I asked, my voice dangerously low, "did you recover?" He lowered his voice, looking ashamed. "The morning after Euros, you know." "We Euros." I remembered everything. The attack from Sophia, everything. I knew they wouldn't give up, so I had to continue the act, to lure them into a trap. "Emmer is my cousin," he continued, the words spilling out in a rush. "After what happened, I was afraid they'd try something else. So I gave her a transmitter and told her to call for help if anything seemed wrong. I never expected you to get involved." A surge of white-hot anger rose in my chest. I wanted to slap him, to scream at him, but I knew, logically, that he hadn't done anything wrong. His plan had worked. The villains were caught. Yet, I felt an overwhelming sense of frustration. "You know damn well that's not what I want an explanation for," I snapped. "Lucas, was it fun playing me for a fool?" He looked stunned, opening his mouth to speak before closing it again. I turned to walk away, but he grabbed my arm. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice low, "but I was never playing with you." "Then why did you hide it from me? Why did you keep calling me your wife?" I shook his hand off, my voice rising. "Was it entertaining, watching me run around in circles for you, completely lost in your little drama?" Lucas's face turned pale. He stepped forward and pulled me into a tight hug. "I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I didn't want his apology. I was just so angry. Was I that untrustworthy, that unreliable? If he had just told me the truth, I could have you Euros. I could have what? What could I possibly have done for him?" The realization hit me like a physical blow. There was nothing I could do for Lucas. He was a self-contained universe, capable of solving any problem, overcoming any obstacle. He was all-powerful. My existence, my presence, was utterly dispensable. An overwhelming wave of inferiority washed over me, so potent it threatened to drown me. I took a deep, shuddering breath and pushed myself out of his embrace. "Mr. Oliver," I said, my voice cold and formal, "now that this matter is resolved, I believe it's best if we return to a normal, professional working relationship." I saw his pupils contract, a flicker of pain in his eyes. "What do you mean by that?" "It means exactly what it sounds like," I replied, forcing my voice to remain steady, trying my best to suppress the betraying tremor that threatened to reveal just how much his deception had broken me.